Namaste. Welcome to Parents Ki Paathshala. I think at Sthir, we realize that parenting can be a significant stressor, and this is also linked to organizational well-being. So, therefore, Parents Ki Paathshala is an initiative to dialogue about important concerns that parents might have and give them a safe space and a community where they can come in, join, and ask and discuss about their concerns. So, today we are going to talk about the POCSO Act and how parents can inform themselves about it and keep their children safe and secure. We have Madhuri here with us. Before we move and dive into the session, I would like to give a quick introduction so that our audience is acquainted with Madhuri's expertise. Whatever I will be sharing is, of course, a very sort of cut down, summarized version of what the years of experience that Madhuri holds. And of course, it's a pleasure to introduce her. She's a distinguished expert with over 26 years of experience in the service industry and 12 years of professional training. She's led senior leadership and customer service roles at big names like Airtel, Tata Teleservices, ICICI Bank. Madhuri brings a wealth of practical knowledge to her sessions. She's a certified specialist in POSH and POCSO compliance, as well as gold standard and TBEM assessor. Her passion lies in transforming organizational culture through leadership development, behavioral training, and business excellence. And in conversation, we have our very own Deepa Bhalerao, who is the head of our mental health service vertical, and she has also had more than 2 decades of counseling experience with different population groups. So, without further ado, I think we shall get the conversation started. So, over to you, Deepa.
Thanks, Imran.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Welcome, Madhuri. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, speaking about something so important, and especially for parents. Now, I don't think even a decade ago we would have thought of having this as an exclusive session, because I don't think there was so much information, knowledge, understanding. But I think there is no better time than now to speak about certain things that no one speaks about. And all the more reason because no one speaks about them. One of the slides spoke that, why should we speak up? Because we hope the children never have to. So I think we are really privileged to have you, and all of our listeners will take away a lot of things from here, because this is, again, a topic which is not very comfortable as any conversation. Forget drawing room, any conversation at all. So we shall go straight, deep dive into it, and do feel free to share experiences, examples, whatever you feel relevant, because we're going to sit and laugh it all up here.
Sure.
So let me start at the beginning. As always, we keep hearing this term everywhere, CSA, child sexual abuse. So what is child sexual abuse? And horrendous as it sounds, who would be the person inflicting something like this? So that's my very first question to you.
So, child sexual abuse, the word itself says child. So, any sexual abuse or any act of sexual gratification, like molestation, sexual stimulation, engaging in sexual activity, physically touching private parts or personal spaces of the child, indecent exposures demonstrated to a child, or showing pornography, videos, pictures, content, whatever which are sexual in nature, and any other sexual forms of sexual exploitation is called as sexual abuse. And when this kind of an abuse is done on a child is one who is a person aged below 18 years of age. Now, normally we say sexual abuse, the first thought that comes to our mind is girl child. But you will be surprised that this abuse is just not on a girl child. A child here is both male and female child. And you would be surprised to know that 57%, 59% of the cases that get reported are male child.
That's a huge number, and this is a revelation. It's shocking and it's upsetting that what are we doing wrong? I don't know, but clearly some something needs to be done to prevent this. We always talk about sexual abuse, and forever we've been speaking about it in so many contexts with the girl child, as you said very rightly, age of marriage, early pregnancies, lots of things. But the boys are not part of this discussion at all. So thank you for bringing this up. Parents of boys who are listening in, please understand that nobody is exempt. We have heard, we sometimes get some hints about it, but 59% is a very big number, and these are official figures. um, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are too scared to report, so maybe the numbers are more. So I mean, I had to interject. I'm sorry for
Not
interrupting you. Please go
get
ahead.
these cases do not get reported because it gets closed with whatever negotiations that happen with the perpetrator, and
Hmm.
then they close with a mutual talk. But there's a big threat to the child over there, and it leaves a big scar on the child's mind also.
It's a very young mind, and your impressions are young and new. I think one way it really it hurts. I don't know, for want of a better word, is that sexuality and everything has, of course, has a space in everybody's lives, but there are things for which children are too young, which is why they're children. They're not fully formed. They're not miniature adults. They're young. They're yet to be developed, and to have something like this done upon you at an age which is very impressionable, where you can't make any sense. Sexual abuse in any form is bad enough. On adults, it's bad. As part of domestic violence, it's bad. But for children, when they have no clue as to what's going on, the idea of what is right and wrong also must be getting messed up. Many times they are threatened. So they also equate sexuality with something violent. Now, these are the scars, as you said very rightly, that must be left, because as a counselor, I've been a counselor with children, and this is something which comes up just by the way. It's very hard to, locate. It's very hard to pin down. But sometimes the strangest of things they come up with, and then you realize that the reason is child abuse, either it's happening or long ago. So do tell us more about it. You have said also there's a huge range of things. So it's not just one thing, and it's not just violent. I mean, we only think about the extremes. So there's a whole range. So do give us some examples and do tell us, who are these people? Are these people the ones who inflict this kind of abuse on children? Are they people who are, who are in conflict with the law? Are they people who are uh, out there, who have questionable characters? Are they criminals? I didn't want to use this word, but I'm using. Who are these people? Because it doesn't sound right that someone would do this to children, where children are so much valued in our society.
True. So these people are called as pedophiles, and that is what triggers them. They do not look at a age or sex or gender of the person. They only want to achieve a motive of assaulting that person. They want to get that sexual pleasure out of that person whom they want to target. And kids are very vulnerable. They are easy targets. They can be lured through gifts, chocolates, showing some kind of cartoons on the mobiles. All these forms of luring has increased these days. So kids are vulnerable, they are easy targets, and these pedophiles use these people. So there are two types actually of sexual abuse, if I have to say. And how should parents recognize this is, there are two types of abuse. One is called as incest, the second one is called as C-sec. Incest is a forbidden sexual relationship between a close relative or family, or foster care, or your maids, caretakers, drivers, school sweepers, ayahs. Ayahs also these days abuse boy children. There have been cases where 4 5 years old boys who are escorted to the toilets, to the washrooms, are being assaulted there because washrooms do not have CCTVs. And this is what, maybe something bad event has happened in their in their life, which would have a reflection here saying that they want to create this with a new child over there, and that is when they target such kids. And as I told you, kids are easily vulnerable. So incest is one which is a forbidden sexual relationship which is committed by a person. It can be anyone, a relative or a maid, caretaker, whatever. But the other form of sexual abuse is called as CSEC, which is commercially sexual exploitation of children, and this is particularly done by an adult for remuneration. And this we see mostly in your tribal areas, your rural areas, where kids are kidnapped or picked up for child prostitution, tourism, sexual abuse images, videoing, trafficking, pornography, any of these forms. So that is how that these two types exist in child abuse.
It's a scary range of things that you're saying. Feels that nothing, no place is safe enough. So I have heard about things happening at home with the the adults being away, or a trusted adult in the family being the perpetrator, or someone known to the child, like unfortunately a teacher or an instructor. So it could be just anyone, as you say. And there's no way of knowing, because a person, it's not necessarily someone who has a history, or there's no label as such. It's not somebody you can keep away from, as they say. We would never normally encounter people who've done violent crimes. They would be away from, read about them, but you never see them. And this is something that goes on under our eyes, and the person may be living in the family, around the family. That makes it like really, really scary. So I think for younger parents, it's a bigger challenge because our families are getting smaller. We don't have responsible adults. We have usually hired help. And even if you have a CCTV at home, how much can you, like, you can't keep watching it all the time, right? Especially with very young children and both parents gone. So, yes, it does sound very scary. So, like, next question would be for parents who, a lot of them would be hearing about this the first time in details like this. What do you think? Can parents recognize that something is wrong, first of all? Will they ever be able to understand? And if something like this is happening or has happened to the children, the closest adults, let me just say, the if the child is not with parents, with grandparents, whoever is the caretaker, someone who cares for the child, or even parents, how would they know that a child is undergoing? This, for me, is actually the most important question.
So a very valid question, because parents, I know families are becoming nuclear these days, and we only depend upon help from a maid or hired helps. But you'd be surprised to know, even in a joint family, the perpetrators are your maternal uncles, paternal uncles. You would have seen this movie called as Oh My God 2. Um, मामा जी मुझे यहाँ छूते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं. The small child who is just 4-5 years old is explaining, saying this is what the mamaji is doing, and everyone is so, you know um, it's a revelation saying that हमारे खुद के घर के लोग are assaulting our kids. So one thing that you should see in your child, any injuries, sorry, sorry, any injuries or discomfort in private parts. You can also figure out when they have difficulty in walking, sitting, or sleeping. Um, Specifically want to avoid school if the perpetrator is from school, or unexpected behavioral changes. They go very cranky, and or they go very silent. They don't talk much. They lock up themselves in their rooms and spend a lot of time alone. um, Certain symptoms in younger kids would be bedwetting and thumb sucking. These are ones typical things that you need to look in for. Sudden dislike or withdrawal to a specific place or a person. They don't want to go to that uncle's house, or if this is happening in the school. uh, Let me share, just a year back or so, Badlapur, there was an incident that was reported. A 4-year-old girl child was sexually abused, raped by the sweeper of the school. The parents
Oh
had
my.
to rush to the office, so they dropped the child early, and the sweeper was sweeping the entire premise, and he
Hmm.
took the this one of it, and he sexually abused. You can also see certain accumulation of gifts and money, because these perpetrators always start with building a trust with the child. It's not that they would suddenly go attack the child and move off. That can be with some strangers, but if the
Yes.
perpetrator is from the family or
Hmm.
any known person like maids, drivers, sweepers, or someone, they
Hmm.
start building trust not only with the child, with the family members also, so that the parents have a high amount of trust on this driver. अरे मेरा भैया है वो लाके छोड़ेगा and all that. You
Yeah.
have a very high amount of trust that he would take care of my child. That is what normally I hear, and at the end the child is being actually abused by this person.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
see a lot of gifts getting accumulated, and
Hmm.
kids are very smart these days. They don't upfront show these gifts at home. They try to hide it in their baggage or the school
Right.
bags
Right.
and take it back to the school and show these things to their friends in the school. Or spend this money buying chocolate and then lie to the parents saying that, oh, there was a birthday celebration, so I got a chocolate. So
Hmm.
parents should always look in for, go back, check with the school authorities and all. Keep a tab on. See, I'm not saying keep a tab always on your child, but
Hmm. Hmm.
you should keep a watch what is happening. I've also seen kids when they are being abused. They spend a lot of time in front of mirrors, just to check unusual attention to their appearance, if things in their body have reshaped or changed, or what has happened with this. So these are certain things that parents need to look in for, um, when there is an abuse. Another thing that I would like to share here is, many a times the child comes to say this, that he's been abused, but he doesn't speak out on his own. He tries to create a story saying that one of my friend, his uncle, is touching the private parts, and he tries to create the story. When these stories are getting created, you should be very attentive, understand from what angle is your child speaking about this. Is
Hmm.
the incident actually happened with his friend? Then you need to take other actions over there. But if it is happening with your child, you should be more concerned over there, and don't be judgmental saying that ये तो ऐसे ही कहानियां बनाते रहता है. He must have seen some movies and he is very creative in making storytelling and all that. That's how parents ignore this.
I think you've shared a wealth of information. It's important for parents to be vigilant. I think even before that, they need to inform themselves. A lot of people would rather not, it's too painful to believe. So when you speak about certain things, people say, oh no, it doesn't happen among us. So that itself, that is a story you're telling yourself. So I think it's important to step out and know, because our lives are quite, you cannot be isolated at all. You are always going to be in public places, in schools and in community spaces where the child is going to be exposed to different people. So one, as you said very rightly, look for signs and symptoms which are unusual. Believe the child when they're saying something,
Yes.
and don't condemn. And I think this is very important, because a lot of mothers, I mean, all of us have done that, and you feel the child, all children exaggerate a bit, because for them, reality and imagination are very connected. So they'll tell you tall stories about strange things and fairies. So sometimes you feel, oh, this is just a story. And yes, the children are watching so much of content on sorts of platforms. So yes, it's very, and again, I mean, this is not to defend, but parents are so busy that you feel, okay, now don't tell me another story. I have so much to do for today. And the child may not overtly look hurt. This is the other thing, There's no overt, may not be uh, an overt way of, whether the child is hurt in any way. So there's nothing to show for it, because I'm sure perpetrators take that much care, and they they are also good at their craft. So we have to. I think you've said a lot of important things which parents need to, be vigilant about literally every single day. I know of parents who are very wary of sending children for sleepovers. Now, while that itself is, sleepovers were so much more common maybe a couple of decades ago, nobody ever thought about it. I'm sure things happened then, but nobody spoke about it. But that's the only thing that they seem to worry about. Not about the trustworthy people, not about the person who's at home when children are alone, not about the classes children go to, not about the person who comes to coach. I mean, there's so many spaces which are left open. And what you said again was that the child becomes conscious about their appearance, also likes to deflect and say, someone has a problem, someone has a problem. I think these are amazing pointers, and I hope parents are listening in. Sometimes, it's important to believe more than disbelieve. So, as you said rightly, because children, yes, children exaggerate, but children have not really figured out to lie very much yet. They don't really know. They don't understand that much. So, one more thing that came to mind as you spoke was that, see, now we have technology to add to everything else. One, isolation. Secondly, small families. Thirdly, not many responsible adults who are really directly caring for the child. And then there is technology, which is just everywhere. There was a time when you could protect children from technology. There was some net nanny, but I don't think that exists anymore because children are way smarter. They have their own mobile phones, their own tablets, everything else. So, do you think technology has added another sinister angle to CSA? And then again, what is it? And how should what should parents look out for? Again, the same thing, but in the tech angle now.
So you said it right. Actually, technology has evolved in this child sexual abuse. Kids are highly tech savvy these days. More than you and me, they know how to operate so many gadgets. They are hooked onto mobiles, and culprits are the parents because right from the childhood you give a video cartoon movie running and then you try feeding the child over there. So from the childhood, from the age of 1 2 years, the child is already hooked onto the mobile. Parents normally hand over their laptops, tabs to the children for playing games, right? Games is one big culprit in this case because parents should monitor online activity of their child. uh, so what is technically assisted child sexual abuse? Usage of technology and then forcing or threatening or blackmailing the child by live streaming or creating and sharing child abuse material or content is called as technology assisted child sexual abuse. Okay. Where does this occur? Occurs on all digital platforms, be it social media, gaming platforms, messaging app platforms, any of this, right? Then, if I have to tell you how common is this, it has risen now. Since pandemic, it has become multifold because pandemic, while there were pros and cons of it, but for children, everything was on mobiles and gadgets. They couldn't play outside, so they were hooked on to playing games on the mobiles and other gadgets.
Very legitimate reason they had to use it.
True,
Schools
true.
were taking classes.
Yeah. And impact of this abuse on the child because when you get hooked on to a game, the kind of abuse that happens is you do this, you take a picture of yours, you take a nude picture of yours and upload here, you get so many points and all that. That is how kids get hooked onto it and then they fall prey of it. Now, impact of this abuse on child, when the child now gets to know that whatever is happening is wrong and then he can't disclose this matter with the parents, there's a psychological and emotional impact on the child's mind. He goes into depression, he or she goes into depression. There are anxiety attacks that happen. They try to self harm and also suicidal ideations happen. So we've seen
Okay.
cases where, kids, fall prey of these games, and then, they try to upload certain contents from their end, and then it becomes that you have uploaded the content, and then it becomes a police case, and a lot of parents then go legally and try to fight it out. But this is what actually happens. That's why, you need to monitor the device activity or online activity. How do you identify that this is happening? Sudden change in device habits, that's one thing. Immediately,
Okay.
hiding the screen, or abrupt stopping, or pulling away
When
and saying, why
someone
do you want
comes,
to, yeah, why do you want to see what I'm playing, and all that. And you can't just answer these questions to the kids.
no.
That's why, prevention is better than cure. So, device management, open communication, tell your children that they should not fall prey to these games, whatever games that they are downloading. These all things do not happen. You should not upload anything. Check what games they have downloaded. See, your games like Ludo and other bingos and all are all okay, or some
Yeah,
other
yeah.
you sow some seeds and harvest and all that, those are okay. Or project IGI, or shooting and all, everything is okay. But there are certain games which, while cyber is managing that they should restrict these, but somehow these perpetrators try to invade into your system, and the kids
It's
get
hard.
into it.
Yeah, the policing is very hard. Also, I think what you said was very important. That, have the hygiene. Parents also need to check. Many times children only imitate parents, and I've seen this a lot. Where if you have to be transparent too. You also must not be hooked. Parents themselves would rather see a movie and let the child do what they have to, or sometimes feel that, oh, this is not appropriate for the child, so I'm not going to show it. Children are watching you all the time. They will do exactly what you do. So if you are not transparent, you spend too much time, no matter what you're seeing. So I think but this seems to be big because I think children probably can access pornography also now, which is another nuisance. But these requests, these apps where you can send your own pictures. Now I believe there are different apps which can, morph your pictures. It's just scary. So your online presence, and I think one thing I would like to add here, I'm sure you've thought about it. I'm always a little concerned about parents oversharing about their children on social media. Sometimes you see like 50 pictures on a birthday, or they're tagging where they are at this point of time, or I believe, see, children's routines are very predictable. So it's
True.
very easy to stalk someone who will go to get up in the morning, go to school, come back, go to class. So that routine also, are we sharing so much? Sometimes in the joy of wanting to share a birthday or an event or something, I think pictures go out there. So maybe this is also something which parents should check. Keep the pictures to yourself, share them with family, few of them, and very few on social media, because once it's out there, then it doesn't belong to you anymore. Am I right? That's what I'm told, that once you put a picture out on social media, even if you delete it, it's always there somewhere. So
So what you do is report in case you found that your child has uploaded certain things, and you now need to report it. Where will you report this? There,
yes,
go and Google NCMEC, Cyber Chip Line. NCMEC, Nation Centralized Reporting for Online Exploitation of Children. NCMEC.
NCMC. Okay, okay, okay.
NCMEC Cyber Tip Line. So you go on this website. It's a self-assisted one. You just upload everything. And second is, normally what happens is, we as a human, we first want to destroy, or delete the content. You know, preserve that, because it will help you take this matter legally.
Okay, that's a big thing. So can
you
you
know
just tell us again?
Normally our this one is first thing that we react is immediately take
Remove it,
and
remove it.
delete it, trash it,
Yes.
bin it. But you should keep this, because this helps a lot in one. legal matters and, registering a cyber helpline case.
So NCMEC is the name of the website. Cyber?
Yes, NCMEC Cyber Tip Line. TIPLINE.
Tip line. Okay, I
Tip
got it.
line.
As
IPLINE.
I'm going to put it here so that I
Yeah,
remember.
put
Oh,
it in
this
the
is
chat.
important.
Yeah.
And this is a website, and there you can go and
Yes.
check what is online, right? Of yours. Okay.
No. You can report it over there
This
if you
was the report.
figured
Yeah.
out that your child has uploaded certain things, and now you have understood that your child has done a mistake. So you go
Right.
and report it over here so that
Okay.
cyber helpline takes it forward, and whatever content later, with your consultation and all that, they solve the matter and delete it and try to find out who the person is also. So it
Got it. So
helps.
this is important. This is a very important resource. I have written it out, and we can actually share the website details also once this conversation is over.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so much. A lot of I think this is very important information, and I hope everyone, if there are any questions by all of you who are watching, please put them in the chat, and we will take them up as soon as this conversation, the the all our questions are done. So now, Madhuri, my next question for you is, we know, for example, that a lot of children don't have the language or don't have the courage, or courage because they may have been threatened. But there are some children, and of course, your relationship with your children matters, how close you are. Now, if a child were to disclose some kind of abuse, there's a range of things: threatening, flashing, showing things, touching, even the more severe forms where there is a lot of, like actual physical abuse. And so, suppose they tell this to the parents. There are many accounts I have read, accounts as in written accounts of people, and this is not recently but before, and a lot of women and girls coming out saying that we spoke but nobody believed us. We spoke but we said don't speak such dirty things about people, things like that. So basically, they were not believed, and this I think can be so much more painful than even more painful than going through it, because then who do you go to? So now, knowing that this can happen, if a child discloses any of these things happening to themselves or another one, they might refer to somebody. What is a parent supposed to do? Because I know that this is something which is going to shock the parents so much, they will probably be rendered, they will be stunned. So while it is understandable that you're shocked, I think it's the parent has to now be proactive. And what does a parent do in such a case?
Certain supportive actions that the parent should demonstrate are:
Hmm.
first is believe in your child. Listen to your child patiently without any judgment or disbelief. See, the child will not speak lie in this matter. He's been hurt, and this whatever is happened is so traumatic that the child may not be able to disclose it completely, but whatever the child is talking to you, believe in your child. That's the first thing. Listen to the child patiently. Second immediate action is report. Where will you report? Call 1098 helpline. Easy to remember number: 1098. Ulta ginti. 1098. 1098. That's the child helpline number. They will take your case. They will guide you on the next steps to be followed if you're not aware of what to do or where to go. Alternately, you can also go to a police station, nearest police station, and register a case. Or there are special juvenile police units. Most of these cities have special, they're called as SJPU, special juvenile police station units, where you can register this FIR. If you still don't know and you are so tech savvy, just go and Google POCSO e-box. POCSO e-box. It's a red color button. It's a portal which opens with a red color button. You click on the e-box. You get list of pictorial images. You can have your child beside you. The child can guide you, and then you can navigate those images to register the complaint, because a child will not be able to describe in his or own
Exactly.
words, unless and until the child is in the adolescent stage. But if the child is too small, about 5, 6, 7 years, they would not be able to describe the place or situation. So, it has a guided pictorial navigation which you select, and then briefly write what all your child has told you. This will help you register a complaint in the POCSO e-box, which goes to the required authorities. They will get in touch with you immediately, or the easiest option is 1098. It's a toll-free number, 1098. Dial, take the assistance, and go ahead as they direct you. Now, first and foremost thing that we do is, suppose the incident has already happened long back, you can't do much about it, but the incident has happened just now, few hours back, and the child is coming to you and now crying, and you've figured out that something has happened now. Do not um, demolish the evidence, protect evidences. Do not wash the child's clothes, do not bathe him or her, because that is what we first do. And if it is a sexual assault, you shouldn't do this immediately. The first thing is that you will take the child to a medical center and get a medical test done immediately. That will help. Bathing a child and all, washing the clothes will destroy the forensic evidences. So that's the reason why you do not immediately wash off the child's clothes or bathe the child. uh, Another thing that parents normally do is go upfront and confront to the accused. Never do that. Avoid confronting to the accused directly, because it can lead to a threat or a pressure on the child later. See, now the mamla is sorted. You are talking and he says, no, maine kuch nahi kiya and all that. It goes into a kind of tiff and all that, and then you part off after some time. But the impact lies on the child later. The child is under a threat and pressure from this perpetrator. Instead,
Yes.
go to the authorities, let the authorities handle it, and be sensitive in this matter. Normally what happens is, when the mother gets to know about this, she starts crying, weeping,
Still.
shouting and all
Yes.
that, ऐसे क्यों किया, trying to bash the child, trash the child. Be very sensitive and cautious in handling this matter. Another thing is, when you report it to the police, media people are always around. Keep this information away from media. Otherwise, tomorrow, next day in the morning, it gets flashed immediately. This is what has happened. And
And the
these
child
all
gets
things
unnecessarily focused.
unnecessarily focus, and then um, it causes a lot of trauma on the child.
Right.
That's why these authorities also keep the matter confidential. They do not disclose it out unless and until it is asked by the law.
Yeah.
Next is medical and psychological support. Any
Very
child
important.
any child who is undergone this has an entitlement for a medical care, counseling, to help him get out of the trauma. And last but not least, when this case goes in, it doesn't go into a normal court. It doesn't go into a normal civil court or a high court. It goes into special trial courts. And these trial courts are not like a normal court setup. They're a small enclosure, like a play school, where you have other kids playing and all that. It's a kind of a playful environment. There is a counselor, there's a psychologist, there is a judge who's sitting there, and parents are allowed during these trial proceedings and recording of the statements. Parents are allowed, so you can accompany your, because most of the time the advocate says, no, you don't get in, we will handle this matter, you stand outside. So I'm telling this to the parents, these things
There are
shouldn't happen with your child, but in case this happens, you need to know that you can be present during the recording of the statements and the court proceedings.
okay.
Now,
So very important, because this is where all the real issues will be coming out. So you can't have the child feeling.
right.
You,
Now,
you
this
need a
is
safe.
what is about, how to handle or be supportive. Now,
Yeah.
another, see, these are the actions that you take after the incident has happened. But prevention is always better than cure. So what I would urge to all the parents is educate on good touch and bad touch. All schools have started this, but you should start right from your home. Teach children about body autonomy. Tell them that no to unwanted touch. Tell them what are their personal spaces. Build self-esteem in child, confidence in child. Many kids are very introvert. These are more vulnerable. Check for healthy and safe home and school atmosphere, because school atmosphere also plays a bigger role here. Check with school or daycare on what has happened. Do they have a child? Every school is supposed to have a child protection policy, like how we have a posh policy at workplace. You have a child protection policy at every schools, and CBSE schools, this is a mandate. They need to have CCTV cameras, they need to have a complaint box also. Now, having said, this is external world, but internally you should have open communication with your kids. Build a trusting relationship where the child feels comfortable sharing everything and anything, and things that are also making the child uncomfortable. And last not the least, keep a watch on their online activity.
This is a wealth of information, Madhuri. So many important things you have said, which, make me want to, first of all, thank you, because I think these are very, um, they seem to be minor issues, but they actually make a huge difference. And when you talked about boundaries and get used, respect a child and understand, many times we don't do it uh, under the guise of affection. Um, a child's boundaries are not always respected in the house, and not because anybody's abusing them, but you just say, oh, come on, do this. So I, distinctly as a child counselor, I've heard children come and say that, sometimes I don't like to come and, children always, parents always display their children. Okay, uh, tell them what you did, talk to this uncle, go sit near. We also need to know that sometimes what are we teaching the children, Are we teaching boundaries, or are we teaching them that, be available, be accessible, be likable? Those are things which are problematic, because sometimes in the house, and I've heard children say that, my parents enter my room without knocking. So are we also following boundaries? Because the child is going to learn at home. And if there are no boundaries, and if the child doesn't ever get the privacy that they, each child deserves. I'm not saying let the child lock themselves in, that is a problem. And very young children, not that. But are we respecting the child? Are we expecting them to perform in front of people? Are we, in the process of showing affection, are we also transgressing? Sometimes you say, oh, the child is very bad tempered, but how would you like to be, your cheeks pulled or something out of the blue, or you patted on the head, or suddenly I asked to sit on your lap? You need to check whether the child likes these things also. So what you've said is really important. I think it goes even further back into teaching respect and respecting the child's boundaries. The child is an individual. The child is not your toy or property, where you, and all this is said out of affection. Nobody means it in a bad way, but you're giving some message to the child where if they can't resist you, they can't resist someone else. They will not be able to stand up to another person, because that they've been taught never to stand up, just to comply. So what you've said is very, very important. Parents, I want to reiterate this. Many times we would like to do the right things, but we're not practicing the right things. And we always say in our days also, child sexual abuse will happen. We have many people who are scarred by it. Just because it was not spoken about does not mean it did not happen. Okay, so the the more informed we are, the better off we are. So it's important to first check how we are as a family. Do we respect boundaries? Do we ask permission? Do we expect children to be, performing, if it's a poem or a story, or come and invariably ask what is going on in school? And I mean, this is a stranger. Why would it? You need to build a relationship before you even ask these questions. But we are told to open up, to be there, to be friendly, etc. So all this also fits in there, you know. So there is a question which has come up, but we will take it after my most important next question. Thank you so much, Madhuri. I think this is really setting the context big time. And when you kept saying prevention is more important, I think how wonderful it will be if all of our children were aware, and this would affect, you know, the incidence of child sexual abuse. Now, coming to the most important part of what we are going to speak about today, please tell us about what is the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act and why is it important and relevant. This is actually, you know, the focus, but it had to come with the background which we asked you about. Now, please tell us about it in as much detail as you think we need to know.
Sure. So POCSO Act, it is called as Protection of Child Against Sexual Offense. Now, this is a special act, an act to protect child under the age of 18 years against sexual assault, harassment, and pornography. So, under this act, it's a gender neutral law, so applied to both male and female child, right? It protects both male and female child from sexual offense. The act covers sexual assault, sexual harassment, pornography, then sharing and uploading of videos, then abetment or attempt to commit the offense also. You are instigating someone to commit the offense, or you have attempted to commit the offense but you have not committed. So it includes that also. Now, in this act, there are certain categories. One is a normal sexual assault, one is an aggravated sexual assault. Now, aggravated sexual assault means an assault done by a person who is of a very high power. He can be a religious person, he can be a politician, VVIP, government servant, medical profession person, educational institution person, or military armed services, anyone. Anyone of this category does this act, it would be called as aggravated. It would also be called as aggravated when the assault is done for a child who is below 12 years of age. If it is a gang assault, then also it is aggravated. And if this assault is done on a physically or mentally unstable child, then also this is called as aggravated. Why am I focusing more on aggravated and normal assault? Because the punishments are very different for a normal sexual assault done on a normal child, and aggravated sexual assault, there is a different punishment. I'll give you a very classic example. I don't know if many of the parents here know Baba Ram, Asaramji Bapu. If you've heard of this person,
Yes.
he is currently undergoing a life imprisonment in jail since 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And this is for sexually abusing the devotees, girl child especially. And again, this falls under aggravated. There's a beautiful movie which has been made on this POCSO Act and the Asaram Bapu case, which is Sirf Ek Banda Kafi Hai. Manoj Vajpayee's movie, Sirf Ek Banda Kafi Hai, beautiful movie one should watch to understand what POCSO Act is, how these babas and gurus and religious people try to lure people, get into their jhasa, and try to abuse these children or devotees as a plan for treating them, or giving them dikshas and all that. So that is what is POCSO Act. So there are a lot of punishments, as I already told you, that where should you report. There is a 1098 helpline, there's a juvenile center. These cases are handled at special trial courts. So your child is in safe hands. You are not exposing the child to a court kind of an atmosphere. It's a very playful atmosphere. The counselors are present, the psychologists are present, doctors are available, because at times, the child, how the child reacts is also important for the judge to understand and the doctor to assess in these cases. So storing and uploading and sharing of pornography is again one major uh, what should I say, uh, offense that comes under this act. See, many of times, we get certain obscene videos and contents, storing
Yes.
that, sharing that with someone. Young boys these days do that, you know so they at times download the content, they store it. So that's why I'm saying monitoring online activity is very important. If your kids are in that adolescent stage, please talk to them, do the parenting counseling to them, tell them about how the body parts change, what are the changes that happen in a girl child, what are the changes that happen in a boy child, because the boy also needs to understand what are the changes that a girl undergoes, and the girl also needs to understand what are the, see, most of our textbook always tell us about sexual reproduction of a frog. you know वो किसने, why the hell, why do you want to learn for a frog's sexual reproduction cycle? Please tell. And you this again, I would like to reiterate, oh my god, 2 covers this, because the child who's shown in that movie is being bullied by the senior by the other boys in the school for having smaller private parts. The size of the private part is small. So he gets bullied, and then he goes into some baba hakim and all that, then it comes into a suicidal stage, and many a things happen. How the parent fights in the court, or fights in the court of law for ensuring that sex education should be a part of curriculum these days. So most of the governments have made it from the 8, 9, 10 standard, that is the age when they require to be oriented on what is all this. Because um, right information will lead to a right action. Otherwise, kids will start downloading contents and try to google information and get lured. So it's more of a parent's responsibility to talk to them from the trust angle. That is why you need to develop that bonding between the child and you. uh, this is what the POSH Act says. And when you are convicted, the punishment under these act range from a minimum of 3 years imprisonment to a life imprisonment, rigorous imprisonment also. If there is that you're storing and uploading pornography, or abetment or attempt to commit any offense, then you would be charged with a fine and a minimal amount of imprisonment. So it ranges depending upon what case is it. Is it an aggravated case, it is a normal case, what is the where does the child come from, what is the family structure, everything has been assessed, and then the punishments are offered in this case. So that's about the POCSO Act. It's a very simple one, and especially schools are mandated to implement, like how at workplace we have a POSH Act. Schools are
Yes.
mandated to implement the POCSO Act in their organizations, in their institutions. That's why schools have now started doing a good touch, bad touch, and level wise um, uh, sessions for different age groups. So they start with the kindergarten on how to say no to a bad touch and all that, and then it goes level wise, level up wise. So that's about the POCSO Act.
It's very heartening to know, number one, that, one, from a time where sexual assault, sexual abuse was not even spoken about, to the fact that we have an actual act, which, it's very heartening. Um, there is there is a redressal, but a redressal or a law cannot help very much unless people are aware what it does. So I think what you've done today for us is, really um, a good curtain raiser on, I think, what what is child sexual abuse, because most of us are shy of even, and this needs to be known by everyone, because all of us in come in touch with, come in, in some contact with children in some way or the other, not just parents, because we have helpers, we have people who work with children, people who are surrounded with children, people who care for children, and in a very genuine way, most of us do. And children are very vulnerable, so we've always talked about protecting them, looking after them. And here we are hearing about just the opposite. So it's important to be informed. You don't have to be just a parent to be informed. It's great. A parent must be informed, but so do everybody else. Teachers, people who work with children, older children, because who knows, somebody's life will be saved. And I'm saying this because we know the scars that sexual abuse can leave on a person. One adult who's aware can make a huge difference to anyone who's undergoing this. So we must not take this lightly. And as I say, very important because the people we are looking at and talking about are people who don't have the words, the language, or the understanding because they're very young. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot speak for themselves. So this is a very, very important, piece of, how do you say, knowledge that you've given us. And I'm like very grateful and I hope it's been useful for everyone. We will take up the one question that has come here. Ajay Singh ji is asking, nowadays children react and live as he or she sees in the mobile or TV and around the society. How can we save children from this?
See, you can't restrict them from watching. How you behave also at home matters, because these days nuclear family, you go hug, kiss your wife, or the wife kisses the husband, and the kids see this. This was not there earlier. Kids see this and then they feel that this is all normal. And these days movies also show kissing scenes and other
Very
kind
wrong.
of scenes which are censored actually. That's why I say ki parenting is very important. You need to tell about how a child who is just born develops and how he grows. What are the changes that happen in his body, structure wise, hormonal changes, what all changes that the boy child will see, mustaches coming in, hoarse voice, and other things. The girl child, the breast development, everything, the periods. Boys also need to be told about the menstrual cycle that a girl undergoes. Why is this? Normally, I've seen parents telling, no, 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 she's not well, her tummy is aching, and all that. Then they just give these kind of examples which are not digested by that young child. So, you need to be open in speaking this. That open culture was not there earlier. During our times, we were never
No,
told about
no.
this. And, I'm sure everyone present here would have had a abuse. At least I have had. So it leaves a scar on you throughout your life. So
It does.
it's better. See, even if it is life, you need to do the parenting course to them, which will, that's what is helpful.
I think the question is very useful. Thank you so much. I would just like to add that it's a very good question. Children don't know the difference between reality and imagination. And this is happening
Yes.
to more and more people now because more and more people are living in their phones and seeing reels and looking at influencers. And I don't know, it's just getting scary because the distinction is getting blurred. I think it's important to have those conversations that body image, for example. A lot of young girls used to come to me as a counselor saying they don't feel beautiful enough. They are not, I don't know, some body part is not good enough. And I would sit down and explain. And, nowadays there are so many good videos and reels also which tell you that, whatever you see on the screen is created for the screen. It's like when you go to see a play, you know that the person has put that much makeup to look like something. So whatever is shown on the reels and it's a created reality. Children don't have the ability to understand. And we also, I mean, when we see a movie, we always believe, oh, we laugh and cry with the knowing fully well that this is just an actor. But the children can't make the difference. So I think it's important to keep telling them and giving them a reality check because once you do that, then they are very intelligent. And you show them, okay, normal people don't live like this. Okay, this is made up. This is for people to watch. And I think somewhere they will start making that distinction because that is where the problem comes in. The body image issues and the looks and the way they dress. And but yes, it's a tough thing because it's all very attractive. Whatever they show on media is so attractive that it's normal life is boring in comparison. But you have to, somewhere actually point it out. And I have seen parents do that, and they say, okay, this is like, you remember the play, this is the play. Okay, they just do it because they're doing this. So somewhere that reality also kicks in, that this is not real. This is something which is created for the screen. I don't know if this helps, but it has helped some of the parents, and they're able to, because you can't stop them from watching it. I mean, you can't stop
Yeah.
yourself also from watching. So there you are. I think that was a. And are there any more questions? No, we can't. But thank you so much for this question. I think it's tough to be a parent nowadays. You have to learn and relearn and unlearn, and you also have to be the good example where we were not faced with any of these questions. And you have to be a good example. You have to guide, and there is so much to know. And the children are 5 steps ahead of you, because uh, I mean, the dark web and all, my children have told me about it. I didn't know about what it was still. So, of course, they were much older. So, yes, I think a good idea would be, and this is one last thing I would say. I keep saying this, and I'm not very popular with parents. A lot of us, who are parents, say, social media is not for me. I don't see YouTube and Instagram. I say, please create an account and be there, because you will never understand what your child is doing if you don't know anything.
True.
And by saying that I don't know, you're not helping anyone. And yes, I mean, none of us love social media or reels or anything, but please go and understand the language that the young people talk. Because I actually downloaded Snapchat a few years ago because I just couldn't figure out what was being said. It was like a foreign language. So please, I'm not saying go and get addicted. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. And none of us would be. We have too much to do. But please get on to social media. Please see what your children are, up there. Um, Early on, when your children have accounts, you also have one. So you can keep an eye on what's going on.
I don't.
It may
These
not
days,
be.
kids are very smart, Deepa. They create two accounts which they don't share with you.
Oh, yes, but at least
So
something,
at least, yeah,
somewhere, if you don't know the language of Instagram, if you don't know what a reel is,
yeah.
because my introduction was with Orkut. Orkut was a terrible platform. I will say it openly now, where people would go and leave terrible scraps for each other and all sorts of things. There were hate groups, and I couldn't understand what these children were saying, And then I said, okay, I need to get an account and really figure it out for myself. So please be out there, check out if something new has come. Don't shy away from checking it out, because you don't know how it will help you to understand what your child is doing. And I routinely do this with young people. I tell them, tell me about the dark web. How do you go onto it? I have no idea. And so one of my students informed me that some pornographic site has actually gone on record to say that we do not feature child pornography. I said, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry, but well, I suppose it's a good thing. So then I was given a whole lesson in, how porn sites are using child porn. So these are things you would know. Open up, let the conversation not be something which is hierarchical, and you will learn a lot. Um, be there so you're able to understand what's going on. So, I mean, that's what I would definitely like to say. Are there any more questions, any more reactions? I don't see any. If there's nothing else, I think we can, it's 3 minutes, well on time. We will, any last, concluding remarks you want to give, Madhuri, then we will end with that.
I think
Before
parents
this,
should be a little vigilant.
before this, thank you so much for this 1 hour. Actually, in this 1 hour, I left all my work and to concentrate on because mm, your things, what you are discussing, that attracted me to left the work and to give you the
So glad.
time. That's
So
good.
glad to hear that.
That's good.
I hope
Thank
you
you.
will, you'll benefit and do. I would like to say, sir, that we will be putting this up on our, be on the lookout. We will be sharing this recording, and do feel free to share it with people, those
Yes,
who are
sometimes
interested.
we are busy now in the work, but I also done then the last some months and to skip this. But now today I joined, but still I'm working to something is working on my laptop. But you're thinking what you are discussing that attract me to know leave the work for 1 hour. So
Thank
to
you
keep
so
it.
much. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Madhuri, there's one more question, and Manisha is asking how to identify a particular person. If a particular person could be a threat to the child, would you be able to enlighten us?
See, if a particular person threat to child, One, as I told you, that this person will start building in trust, start developing that trust bonding with your child and with you also. So, you start trusting the person more. They don't upfront come and, harm the child at the first go. They would start building in trust. They would come visit your place every now and then. They would say you can leave your child, that your child is very comfortable at my place, you can drop your child. And most of the parents, they have to go for parties, outings, and then the kids are not allowed, so they drop these kids to the um, whoever their friend is or neighbor is or relative
Mm.
is. And this is one. I'm not saying that every person is wrong, but you should judge a person only the way behavior, that the person will always talk so good about your child, that your child is so good, she has good habits, and try to kind of feed in good things about your child, that then they start, that builds the trust. So trust is one thing that you should, it can't be just judge a person whether this person is right or wrong. As I told you, most of the time, the cases that have come in are um, either the maternal uncles, paternal uncles, or, um, if I have to say, father of the child is also, abused
Yes.
child sexually during
We
nights.
have so many stories. I mean, the
Yes.
Epstein files are coming out. We also get so many local stories, and it's scary because um, it's a tough call out there.
It's a tough one. So, don't just blindly trust any person, be it a male, be it a female. Don't just blindly trust. Your child is your property. You are the parent of the child. Take care of your child. Maybe you will have to forgo certain events and, certain parties, be it, but, um, you should be for your child. At
Safety
least
of the
the child
child comes first.
understands and grows old enough to manage and be on own.
Thank you so much, Madhuri. We've gone beyond the time, but I can see everybody's hooked on and listening. It's been an incredible session. I think a big eye opener. It's also very sobering because it's important to know what danger lurks out there and what, if we can prevent it, nothing like it. We should at least, now that we are well informed, I think all of us are feeling a lot more empowered. And we shall, on our social media, also talk about the different places that you asked us to check out, and we will do that. And we will get back to you in case there are any more
Anytime,
questions.
anytime.
And thank you so much. It's very heartening to know that there may be problems, but there are always good ways to deal with them.
Yes,
And our
yes.
children are very precious. Each child is precious. No child must be subjected to anything terrible like this. So thank you so much for your time and your very clear and very, uh, you know, very meaningful information. I think it's been a very memorable session for all of us, and it's been a great
Thank you,
time
Dipa.
listening to you.
Thanks to
Thank you
Sthir
so much.
and giving me this opportunity to speak on this Parents Ki Paathshala on the topic of POCSO Act and child sexual abuse. I hope this session was informative and helpful for all the parents. In case you have questions, please share it with us. I am always available to answer them. If I'm not getting any answer, I would still scout out for the answer and then surely get back to you. Thank you so much, Deepa, and thank you, Sthir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you and namaste.
That's it.